Yeah, she loved doing it. She had so much fun, and we had fun.
Yeah.
She was just so warm and loving, and I remember certain press people wanted just Angela and Whitney. And Whitney said, no, we go as a group or we don't go at all. And that was powerful to me that she stood up for us.
For you, Loretta?
My memory of her is that she would laugh easy. She was always ready to laugh about everything. She used to tease me about Angela. She said, why she talk proper all the time?
In July 2019, paparazzi photos surfaced from a hotel pool in Ischia, Italy, showing Nicole Murphy in a bikini, fully aware of the camera, some people say smiling directly into it, kissing a married man on the lips. Not a peck, not a friendly hello, kissing him on at least 2 separate occasions at the same hotel. They had coffee together, they went swimming together. And the married man she was kissing? Antoine Fuqua, the director of Training Day, the man who'd been married to Lela Rochon for 20 years. And what happened next is the part that sticks with me more than the photos themselves, because Nicole Murphy gave 3 completely different explanations in the span of 2 months, and Lela Rochon never said a single word. Not one interview, not one statement, not one social media post, she just disappeared. And when she came back 6 weeks later, she was wearing her wedding ring. That silence told you everything. And the fact that nobody in the public seemed to care about what it cost Lela is something I still can't get over. But before we talk about what Nicole Murphy took from Lela Rochon, let me tell you what Lela Rochon had. Because people forgot, and I think that's part of the problem. In 1995, Lela was cast in Waiting to Exhale, alongside Whitney Houston, Angela Bassett, and Loretta Devine. She played Robin Stokes, and she almost didn't get the part. She was initially turned down for an audition. So she got her hairdresser from the Wayans Bros to connect her with author Terry McMillan, who then personally convinced director Forrest Whitaker to let her read for the role. She went in and beat out an actress Whitaker had already cast. That's not luck. That's a woman who knew what she was worth and refused to let a closed door stay closed. She got nominated for an MTV Movie Award for Best Breakthrough Performance and an NAACP Image Award off that role.
When she came to the set, like, was it that superstar energy of Whitney Houston?
Yes, but it was that quiet luxury energy. You know, just jeans, t-shirt, no makeup.
Well.
Just, you know, not much jewelry, just so understated and humble and beautiful. But she came with all that power.
People magazine had already named her one of the 50 most beautiful people in the world the year before. She was in Harlem Nights and Boomerang with Eddie Murphy, Nicole's future ex-husband, by the way, which makes this whole thing even messier when you think about how small these circles really are. Lela worked with Tupac in Gang Related in 1997, and Tupac was murdered shortly after filming Rap. She found out later that he'd left a note in her purse during production, just a note inviting her to call him if she ever wanted to talk. She told People magazine that his death really hit home after she found it. She was in Any Given Sunday with Al Pacino. She was offered The Matrix and turned it down because she didn't connect with the story. She was offered the help and threw the script in the trash. Said she wasn't a fan of playing a maid. Say what you want about those decisions, but that's a woman who had options and made choices based on principle, not desperation. And then she made the biggest choice of all. She stepped back. She married Antoine Fuqua in April 1999, had 2 kids, Asia and Brando, and decided motherhood was going to be her priority. She'd had a miscarriage in 2001 and has talked openly about how hard it was for her to get pregnant and carry a baby. So when she finally had her children, she wasn't willing to miss a single moment. Her exact words were that her kids were her best production.
It must have been a difficult choice to step away to become a full-time mom to the children. Was that really hard?
It was actually an easy choice.
Really?
Because, you know, I struggled to get pregnant. I struggled to carry a baby. So once that happened, I didn't want to miss anything. And, you know, it's just, they're my best production.
She walked away from Hollywood at a point in her career where she still had momentum, still had offers, still had heat because she wanted to be present.
The sequel didn't happen because Whitney passed away. We were ready to go. Terry McMillan had finished the script, and the studio called and said, were we all available to shoot in the summer? And they were unsure about Whitney and, you know, her addiction. And there were a lot of questions about, should we get this person and should we get that person? And Loretta Devine and I said, we don't want anybody else. We want her.
And that decision, the one that should have been respected, is the one that ultimately made her invisible enough for people to forget what she'd sacrificed when the scandal hit. Now let's talk about what Antoine Fuqua was doing while Lela was home raising their children. Because the Italy photos weren't the beginning of his infidelity, they were just the first time the public saw it with their own eyes. According to court documents from 2010, Fuqua fathered a son named Roman with a woman named Ruth Jimenez while he was married to Lela. He was ordered to pay $10,000 a month in child support and owed $86,000 in back support. He actually went to court trying to get the payments reduced to $3,000. So while Lela was at home being present for their kids, Antoine was out here making new ones with other women, and then trying to pay as little as possible for the consequences. And it didn't stop there. In 2012, a model from London came forward saying Fuqua had fathered a daughter with yet another woman. The model described a scene where this woman showed up to Fuqua's Venice Beach property, confronted him, and threatened to tell Lela about the child. And according to the model, Fuqua's response was, and I'm going to clean this up slightly, that he'd slept with her once without protection, and now she'd had a kid. That was his reaction. Not remorse, not concern for his wife, panic that she might find out. There were even rumors of a third outside child with a bartender in Toronto, and reports that Lela once had to go to court against a trainer Antoine was involved with, calling the woman a nuisance. This man had a whole parallel life running while his wife was home doing exactly what they'd agreed she would do, raise their family. And I need everyone to understand that context before we even get to Nicole Murphy, because when those Italy photos dropped, this wasn't Lela's first time dealing with Antoine's mess. This was just the first time it was photographed, published internationally, and turned into a trending topic. Every other time, it was private. She could process it, deal with it, make her decisions without millions of people watching. Nicole Murphy and those paparazzi took that option away from her. So let's talk about Nicole's response, because it changed 3 times, and each version was worse than the last. First, on July 22nd, she told B. Scott that Antoine was just a family friend and they exchanged a friendly hello. Just a friendly hello. There are multiple photographs of them kissing on the mouth, but sure, friendly hello. 2 days later, she switched it up for TMZ and issued an apology, saying it wasn't her intention to be in that situation, and she doesn't condone women interacting inappropriately with married men. And then in September, she went on the Wendy Williams show, and that interview is genuinely hard to watch because Wendy came prepared and Nicole clearly didn't expect to be pressed that hard. She was stuttering, caught off guard, and when Wendy pushed her to look directly into the camera and apologize to Lela, what she said was, "Darling, it was a mistake. I apologize." Darling. She called the woman whose marriage she publicly humiliated darling. The internet's read on the whole thing was unanimous. She wasn't sorry she did it. She was sorry she got caught. And here's what makes the Nicole situation even harder to write off as a one-time lapse in judgment. She'd done this before. Lisa Ray McCoy, the actress, was friends with Nicole.
Just what you said. She messed around with my husband. Here's the thing. We've all done something that we regret. We've all made mistakes, and we all have to learn from that. But when you start doing it and being messy enough to do it amongst family, how does a family kiss turn into a "I'm sorry" apology? Like, what do you mean? You didn't know that she was married? We all know that she was married. And that was 20 years. That's history. You don't do that amongst friends. Right. Because there's no loyalty.
They ran in the same circles, went to each other's birthday parties, each other's homes. Nicole was even invited to Lisa Ray's bachelorette party before her wedding to Michael Missick, the premier of Turks and Caicos. And at that bachelorette party, Lisa Ray's own mother pulled her aside and warned her, "You've got to watch that one. That's Eddie Murphy's wife." Lisa Ray dismissed it as her mom being old school. She shouldn't have. Lisa Ray later discovered Nicole's name on the flight manifest of their private plane, the plane she and Missick co-owned.
I had checked the manifest of my plane because we owned a plane. And so when you check that list, it says all the people that have rode on the plane. And she didn't ride on it with me. So why you would accept an invitation from him and you don't even know him, I don't know how that could happen. You know, at first she said, "No, I haven't been to Turks and Caicos. I have not been." And it was like, well, wait a minute, you know. And then I called again and then she stopped answering the phone. She was dating Michael Strahan, so I called him. And I said, "Hey, do you know anything about this?" And, you know, we talked or whatever. And I said, "Well, you know, let me send you a tape that I have." of proof.
Nicole had flown to Turks and Caicos without Lisa Ray's knowledge or invitation. And like Lisa Ray said, if your girlfriend has her own island, you'd think she'd call and say, "Hey girl, I'm coming." When Lisa Ray confronted Nicole, Nicole denied ever being to Turks and Caicos. Then she just stopped answering her calls. So Lisa Ray went and pulled the surveillance footage from the private airport, and it showed Nicole dropping Misik off at the plane in her own car. She sent that tape to Michael Strahan, who was Nicole's fiance at the time. And eventually Misik confessed to sleeping with Nicole, saying it happened about 2 or 3 times. Nicole has never apologized to Lisa Ray, not once. As of 2026, nothing. Lisa Ray's sister, DeBrat, publicly confirmed the whole thing happened.
Even your sister, DeBrat, Lisa Ray McCoy, jumped in social media and said, "Girl, Nikki Murphy, you went after Lela Rochon husband too? Shaking my head so wrong again."
Ooh, wait, hold on.
So what's the fine print of the tea? Like, did she go after Lisa Ray's husband when she was married to the...
Absolutely. When my sister was the first lady of Turks and Caicos, absolutely. What? It was a couple of them hoes that did that.
What? Damn. Well, blogger Love B. Scott took it upon himself to reach out to Nicole directly to find out what's really good, and she responded to him with, "Antoine and I are just family friends. I ran into him in Italy, and we exchanged a hello, and that was it."
No big deal.
I never kissed no family
I need all my friends to say hello like that.
Girl, you kiss all your friends like that in the mouth.
So that's twice. 2 women in Nicole's own social circle whose marriages she inserted herself into. And the pattern is identical deny first, change the story only when evidence makes denial impossible, give a half apology that's really just reputation management, and never genuinely reconcile with the woman who got hurt. With Lisa Ray, it was the flight manifest and the airport footage. With Lela, it was the paparazzi photos. Nicole doesn't get ahead of these situations because she doesn't think she'll get caught. And when she does, the apology is never for the woman, it's for the audience. And then there's the part that makes me genuinely angry, which is what happened to Lela after the photos went public. Instead of the conversation being about Nicole's pattern or Antoine's long history of cheating, the internet turned on Lela's body. People started posting side-by-side photos of her in her 20s versus her current appearance. Men and women were saying Antoine had no choice but to cheat because Lela didn't keep her body right. And I need to say this very clearly. The same internet that never once blamed Beyoncé's appearance when Jay-Z cheated, never blamed Halle Berry's appearance when any of her exes cheated, never blamed Gabrielle Union's appearance when Dwayne Wade had a baby with another woman. That same internet decided Lela Rochon's body was the reason her husband couldn't stay faithful. A woman who had difficult pregnancies, a miscarriage, and years of stress from dealing with a serially unfaithful husband, and the public response was to blame her for not looking the way she did at 27. The hypocrisy is staggering, and it tells you more about the people saying it than it ever could about Lela. And through all of it, the photos, the body shaming, the 3 different apologies from Nicole, the public humiliation, Lela said nothing. She deleted her social media, vanished for 6 weeks, and came back posting a photo with her wedding ring on. Her celebrity friends showed up in the comments. Tina Knowles, Lena Waithe, Vanessa Bell Calloway, Tasha Smith. She stayed with Antoine. They were photographed together at an American Film Institute event honoring Francis Ford Coppola as recently as April 2025. Looking happy, looking solid. She went back to work in 2024 with a leading role on BET Plus's The Family Business New Orleans. She did an interview with Essence in 2025 and addressed aging head-on. Said, "Don't expect me to look the same 30 years after waiting to exhale."
Because my daughter that I had in the movie would be 30 now.
Yes, so about the same height. Yeah.
So all y'all that be saying, she don't look the same, don't expect me to look the same. It's been 30 years.
And when she talked about Antoine, she said sometimes knowing so much isn't good, but that she's proud of him and she did pretty good. That's a woman who made her choice and owns it. You don't have to agree with the choice to respect the way she carried herself through something that would have broken most people wide open in public. She never gave the internet the satisfaction of a reaction. She never dragged Nicole. She never aired Antoine's dirt, even though she had decades of it to pull from. She just went quiet, handled it privately, and came back on her own terms. And that restraint in a world that rewards messy public meltdowns might be the most powerful thing she's ever done.